Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. This is the weekend where Indiana Jones meets its final destiny. And it's not going to be very good. I don't think it's going to be very good.
Now, the movie itself depends who you talk to. Some people really like it and some people don't. But that's neither here nor there. The fact is, we're talking about the numbers.
Yeah, so let's talk about the numbers. Indiana Jones only brought in, I believe, 7.2 million on Thursday night previews. Now, just to put that in perspective, it's not good. The Little Mermaid and The Flash, they were both considered flops. The Little Mermaid brought in $10 million on Thursday night, and The Flash did $9 million on Thursday night. So for Indiana Jones to do less than both of those movies,
It's bad.
it's bad. And Indiana Jones should have been a $15-20 million preview at least. You know,
It was the highly anticipated movie that they kept trying to say it was.
I've seen people posting pictures on social media, on Twitter, that a lot of the Fandango seats are empty. They've been trying to give tickets away with Applebee's. Now, again, people did mention they did this with Top Gun Maverick too.
They have.
But, you know, it does seem like they're desperately trying to get this movie hyped up. And I don't think it's going to work. Every major mainstream media outlet is saying this thing is going to bomb hard. Might do well overseas. I have no idea, but they're saying 55, 60 million this weekend.
Yeah.
Which is not good for Indiana Jones. People are like, well, it's more than Indiana Jones made in the 80s. I'm like, inflation, dumbass, inflation.
Plus the theater, number of theaters. It might have been
Number of theaters.
too.
This thing's opening in like every damn theater out there. So we're going to talk about this. 7.2 million for Thursday night is not good. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. You'll get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
Yeah, so let's talk about this. This is, let's see, coming from Deadline. It said that it came in at 7.2 million previews Thursday per Disney. We heard last night the pick was heading for only 6 to 7.5 million. That's where previous older skewing action guy comps live. They said this is basically what the last James Bond did, and it wound up doing like 55 million.
But they kind of ruined it too. And guess who was also involved in that? Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
There's a common denominator here, right? Now, they said that, Mission Impossible Fallout made 6 million before its 61.2 million weekend start. Here's the thing. Some of these movies, like Mission Impossible, they make a lot of their money overseas. I don't think this one's going to, because China has been roundly rejecting pretty much everything Disney's been putting out lately. You know, except for Avatar. They love Avatar. But Indiana Jones, the last Indiana Jones movie was way before Disney was pushing their movies in China.
Yeah.
And I don't think they care, you know?
Well, the problem Disney's having is they keep having flop after flop. Now, with Avatar, they did get like $2.3 billion. However, that movie cost a lot of money to make. But they still made a lot of money.
Right.
But then he went to Ant-Man and the Wasp, where it did absolute dog shit. And then he went on to Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 3, actually didn't do too bad. 825 million, I'm thinking. But The Little Mermaid, they spent a crap ton of money promoting it over everything else. And they think it might hit like 560 maybe.
Yeah.
And these are not even break even, or just, you're not making a profit, because you have to figure the theaters take a cut, residuals, all the marketing expenses, everything else. This one is another one, a $300 million budget, allegedly, not counting I don't think that's counting all the delays and everything else. How much is it going to have to make to break even? It's not going to make it.
Didn't Harrison Ford get like 70 million or some ridiculous amount of money?
I don't know what he got.
But they said, they're like, hey guys, but it's okay. It's okay. It's the second highest stateside opening for Indiana Jones after the Crystal Skull.
On a Thursday at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, which posted a 5-day opening of 151 million after a 3-day of 100 million. And that was in 2008? We're comparing this to movies that came out in the 1980s. Again, and adjusted for inflation, which we did, it wound up being like, I think it was like 125 million or something is what they opened to on average. This is dismal, because they even said that Crystal Skull didn't have previews, but opened Thursday before Memorial Day and did 25 million on a Thursday. Dial of Destiny's Thursday night is below recent dude movies. It's called a dude movie.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge is basically the lead.
A lot of women like Indiana Jones, but whatever.
Yeah, it's a dude movie. John Wick 4 did 8.9 million. and it did 74 million for 3 days. And Fast X, which was a flop, 7.5 million.
That might be they're putting these numbers. However, they're not putting it in perspective. What were the budgets in comparison?
Right,
you know what I mean?
Not as well. Fast X probably was
Plus, this is a pattern. This is a pattern of Disney failures. Elemental did bad. Disney is not doing well. Avatar was their last big win, and it was mostly overseas. Guardians did okay. Guardians actually, is gonna make some money. I believe, before it's all said and done. Little Mermaid's not, and people are trying to argue on these Disney boards. I work in the industry, and I'm telling you. And I'm like, I don't care if you work in the industry. It's not making money. Because we know the budget and the marketing is, is ridiculous on this. Not counting theatrical cuts, not counting residuals, not counting all those things that come out after. It's not going to make money. If it does, it's going to be very little money.
Yeah, this is crazy. I mean, The Little Mermaid, which kind of underperformed its opening weekend, even 10 million on Thursday previews. Was that a dude movie? Because you got to take your kids.
Oh, right, dude movies. That's right, yeah.
A dude movie. So this is coming from CNBC. Indiana Jones hits theaters for one last adventure, but the box office looks shaky. Box office analysts predict Disney and Lucasfilm's Indiana Jones and Dial of Destiny will capture between 60 and 65 million. The film had a lofty production budget of nearly 300 million. Dial of Destiny has mixed to positive reviews, with critics saying the film doesn't quite capture the thrill of earlier adventures. This is it.
It's always you have to put the positive spin on it. Picks positive. Actually, the critical scores are much worse than the audience scores.
They're saying, it's going to do around 90 million for a 5-day holiday weekend.
5 day, yes.
Because we're going to roll 4th of July in there.
Yeah, that's what they're doing.
Why don't we just throw Labor Day in there too while we're at it? Month for its opening month weekend.
It made 150 million.
I know, right? They said it would fall well short of the 100 million Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull secured during the first 3 days in theaters in 2008, because people were actually excited about that after that movie came out. People were like, "Oh, damn, that was a bad idea." Mm-hmm. That any interest in another Indiana Jones pretty much dropped off a cliff.
Right now, I mean, that's a couple things. I think people are just one. They know that under Disney, everything's been milked. They're expecting what they did to Star Wars with Indiana Jones, which is what's happening. People are just tired of it. It's lazy. They don't want to see. I think they don't want to see geriatric Jones.
Geriatric Jones.
I hate to say it, but I mean, I love Indiana Jones. I love Harrison Ford, but I think people are not interested in that. I think that people aren't interested in Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Yeah. I think there's lots of reasons why they aren't going to see this. I think people now are just trained to wait for it to come out to streaming.
Yeah, I think so. I think this is one that looks like it should have just gone direct to Disney Plus. I mean, they said, look, the lackluster audience response to Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which it only did 786 million globally, so it did really well its first weekend. People watched it and they're like, "Oh, damn, this was not very good."
We got nuke the fridge from it.
Yeah, we got nuke the fridge from it. That is what that movie has added to the cultural landscape. Nuke the fridge. They were going to do a Mutt spin-off film with Shia LaBeouf, and they had to pause it because the box office was so terrible. So they wait 15 years to put another one out, and it looks like it's worse than the last one, and they're shocked that it's not going to do well at the box office.
But every movie, they say it's ending, and then they undo it for the next one to redo it again. Yeah. And that's what keeps happening. And now we're here again. It's like Last Crusade is the last Indiana Jones. But wait, there's more. Oh, the Crystal Skull, last one. I swear to God, it's the last one. But wait, there's more, because Disney, they spent lots of money on it. They gotta recoup their costs.
So this is interesting. So Hollywood's had mixed results with nostalgia plays in recent years, while Top Gun Maverick, Avatar: The Way of Water, is that nostalgia?
I wouldn't say Avatar: The Way of Water is nostalgia.
The last movie
They're just trying to find something to pull out of their ass for this article.
And Ghostbusters Afterlife captured healthy box office sales. Others floundered. Blade Runner 2049, which is a good movie, by the way.
I haven't seen it.
I thought it was very good, but Blade Runner was always a very kind of niche thing. But Independence Day 2 was terrible.
It was awful. So was Terminator Genesis. They both sucked.
They were terrible.
They mentioned Ghostbusters Afterlife. They don't mention Ghostbusters 2016, do they? Answer the call. They don't mention that one, do they? Because it's almost like people like nostalgia movies that are good.
God, so it's gonna be a disaster. Everybody's calling it right now. 60 to 65 million. That's being positive. This thing might go down like The Flash, where it's actually comes in worse than people could have predicted. I mean, The Flash was supposed to do 65 to 75. It came in at like 55 million which was terrible. And the damn movie dropped, 70-some% the next weekend.
Well, now they're saying there's rumors that it's going to be pulled out of some theaters. But, you're saying about the drop. And the creative spins that the media puts on things. When I was doing the research for Indiana Jones thing, I looked up Elemental, okay? And they were talking about Elemental. It might do better because even though it did such shit like 20-some million opening, it did another 18 million the next week, and that's only a 33% drop. I'm like, yeah, because the numbers are dog shit.
Yeah.
The second week's dog shit numbers didn't go as bad as we thought they would, but they were already so low it couldn't go much lower. And then they're like, but it's a win. And I'm like, that's not a win. It's like, Little Mermaid's #1 in the world. In the Philippines. It's like, no, that's not how this works.
It's the #1 movie in Lithuania this week.
That's right.
It's fantastic. Yeah, and then you're going to start seeing all the Indiana Jones, the best Indiana Jones since the last Indiana Jones. Harrison Ford doesn't look so bad when you add CGI.
Well, a lot of people said it wasn't too terrible. A lot of the complaints have been the running time. They said it's way too long. They said the movie could have been cut down significantly. They said the action sequences go on too long.
Yeah.
But they said a lot of people said it does feel like it's an Indiana Jones film. They said it does feel like a Lucasfilm shot film. Yeah. But they said now some people said the Waller-Bridge was insufferable. Other people said that she wasn't as bad as they expected. They expected far worse.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge is a pure delight, says the Mary Sue.
Right. Phoebe Waller-Bridge wasn't as shitty as we thought she'd be, which was a low bar to begin with. Yeah. This says random person on Rotten Tomatoes.
God. Well, even if this wasn't planned to be the last Indiana Jones movie, it's definitely going to be the last Indiana Jones movie because the box office is going to be terrible.
Part of me wants to see it, and part of me is like afraid to see it. Like, I mean, I might go in and like it, and that's possible. Like, I hate that think about movies being so bad, and then you hear everybody saying these horrible things, and you go in yourself, and you're being fair. It's not as bad as what everybody said it was because they're trying to get clicks.
Well, I think. Well, that's kind of what happened with Shang-Chi. We were like, yeah, okay, we'll go see this movie and whatever, and it actually wasn't as bad as. I mean, it was, as far as Phase 4 of the MCU is concerned, I think Shang-Chi was one of the better movies they put out.
Well, Little Mermaid, I went to see it with Pinky Boo way after the fact, and it wasn't like anywhere near as good as the original. I'm not going to preface it by that. But it wasn't as bad as everybody said it was. No, it really wasn't. It was okay. It was one of the better live-action remakes. That being said, we don't need live-action remakes, and they're stupid. But I was like, Indiana Jones, I mean, I kind of would like to see this myself to see how bad it is, but I'm also like, I'm also don't want to be disappointed. That's where I'm at anymore. I used to be so excited to see movies, and now I'm just like, do I want to go and, want to keep it in my memory as how it was? Or do I want to risk going and making it worse? There
are some sequels that I wish I could unwatch because they've actually retroactively ruined
the Disney Star Wars?
Disney Star Wars, yeah, I wish I could unwatch them. I've never seen The Rise of Skywalker.
Nope. You've seen more of it than I have.
Wreck-It Ralph 2, I wish I could unwatch it. To preserve my memories of the first one. And most of the Disney cheapquels were pretty awful. Lion King 2 was okay. Lion King 2 was all right, but most of them were terrible. Cinderella 3, they literally involve time travel.
It's true.
They undo the first Cinderella movie, and then they leave it that way. They don't fix it. They just leave it that way, and they're like, oh, well, whatever. That's the new timeline now. Yeah. I'm like, oh, my God. So now we need a Cinderella multiverse or something. Crazy.
Because that's one reason people are getting tired of superhero movies. Is now you're going to the multiverse for everything. Yeah. And they're like, people are just like, no, I'm out. Yeah. That's what they're saying.
Well, I don't really care one way or another about this one. I gotta be honest. I never thought I'd get to that point where I'm like, new Indiana Jones, don't care. New Star Wars, don't care. Whatever. New whatever classic IP that I freaking grew up loving. New movie comes out, I don't care.
Well, they're going to ruin it. I mean, straight up.
Yeah. So I just expect it anymore. That's it. That's the only way you're not disappointed. Just expect the absolute worst possible scenario.
Then you might be mildly surprised.
Yeah, and if it's not the most terrible thing you've ever seen, then you're mildly surprised. Picard season 3 was a good example of that. I expected the worst. I'm like, wow, damn, this was actually pretty okay. Yeah. All right, gonna wrap this up.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.